What's going on, America? This is Kevin in Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. Now, you want to know what is some nonsense? Is how crooked, dirty, nasty, funky, corrupt Hillary Clinton, who should be somewhere hiding up under a rock with all of the investigations and allegations going on concerning her, has the audacity to come out yesterday and criticize Donald Trump over making his, if he did, of course, we don't know with the liberal media and with those dirty Dems, because now we're hearing that a couple other of the congressmen in that meeting said, I don't remember him saying that. I don't know what they're talking about. But nonetheless, she has the nerve to come out and criticize Donald Trump over his alleged comments. And the country that she focused on is Haiti. Out of all countries, she could have easily said Africa, some of the countries in Africa he's talking about. She could have said, oh, it wasn't right to comment about, some places in Mexico. But she focused on Haiti and had the nerve to reference the earthquakes that devastated Haiti years ago. Now, these are the same earthquakes that her and Wild Bill swore up and down they were going to get some things going to straighten Haiti out and get a couple $1 billion over there. And they didn't do it. The Haitian people hate Hillary Clinton. During Donald Trump's campaign, there were videos all over the place of people from Haiti protesting, wondering when were they going to get the billions of dollars that Hillary and Wild Bill promised them. And so for her to even talk about Haiti and the devastation of it, they're still going, okay, if you're so concerned about us, send us the money. Matter of fact, Hillary, where is the money? Huh? Remember the debate when Donald Trump said there's billions of dollars still missing and we want to know where's that money? And then, of course, the moderator came in and said, well, now that he brings it up, we want to ask about that. Blank, 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 asked about the money. Hillary pivoted so it was unbelievable how they let her get away with it. She was like, well, I would love to talk about that money and where it went, but I'd rather talk about the struggle of the American worker and the economy. And the moderator let her get away with it. Didn't even run it back. I'd have been like, bring it right on back here. You're not getting away. You're not getting off the hook. We want answers, okay? I would have badgered her until she had to come out like, you can't handle the truth, all right? I would have badgered her, and they let her get away with it. And so for her to make a comment about Donald Trump's comments and refer to the Haiti situation is foolish, especially coming from a person who called her own people, which are Americans, deplorables, people who voted for Trump. Half of them are deplorables and the rest of them, yeah. So she has no credibility when it comes down to opening her trap about anything. And if I was her, I would go somewhere and sit down. The heat is on. Do you understand that, Hillary? The heat is on. See, yeah, it's not the time to get mouthy, Hillary. It's not the time to start popping off at the chaps talking about some Donald Trump is that. No, get out of the limelight. Go somewhere and sit down. Go off to an island, you and Bill, and just ride off into the sunset. You done stole everybody's money. Just take it and go to somebody's island and just relax and enjoy the rest of your life. But you got to be relevant. And after a while, it's going to come back on you. Anyway, the media is still flipping out. I watched Don Lemonhead give a monologue last night, and he just flat out called the president a racist. He's just a racist. And those that are supporting him, I can't make excuses for him anymore. They're enablers. And people call me a racist. And what he's doing is trying to gaslight us, just like the rest of the liberal media has been doing. All they're doing is trying to shame us and say Donald Trump's a racist, and we're not going to make any excuses for you all that support him, because if you support him, then you all are racist too. And they're not, how should I put it, accurately, even if Donald Trump did say that, they're not accurately stating or reporting the context in what he said. Now, let's just say he said that. I talked about this last night in my last video. Let's just say he did say that. Here's the thing. He never referenced race. He only talked country, not race, because the bottom line is, even though Norway is probably predominantly white, I'm sure there's some people of color in Norway. So for him to make a statement and say crap hole countries, he didn't say, well, why do we have to accept people from all these black countries? Why do we have to accept people for all those Latin countries? He said crap hole countries. Now, here's my point. If it is a country that's predominantly black, but it's in the tank, call it for what it is, okay? I'm sure half of the people that is in the media whining, when they sit around their table with their family, they probably say the same stuff. Man, I went to this crap hole country and wherever and had to do a report, and it was horrible there. There were flies all over the place and the corruption, and then they probably say the same type of stuff. But all of a sudden, the president makes a reference, allegedly, and they go crazy, take the moral high ground. How could he say this? This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. He has to be a racist. You know, so I'm sick of the liberal media trying to infer what the president meant by what he said. I think if you are a practical thinking person, you will be able to make the comparison. He had just met with the Norwegian leader, and I'm sure that was fresh on his mind because I'm sure the Norwegian president had talked about how great Norway is and how the people enjoy living there and the economy is booming and life expectancy is to 85. And see, here's my thing. When it comes down to countries that a lot of people might say, man, that's a crap hole country. It's not saying that everyone in the country is bad and none of the people coming here are smart and can contribute. You know, it takes all kind. But as a general rule, we need to be a lot more selective. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with a country that is struggling economically, struggling when it comes to social issues, a whole bunch of things like that, you have a greater pool of people who unfortunately won't possess the either mentality or the skills that they need to bring or better America if they do come here and become a citizen. It's no different than, I mean, I grew up in inner city, okay? And just be honest, grew up in the hood. So nobody watching my videos can sit back and say, well, you don't understand. You're not like the rest of us, you know, or you ain't a real brother. You grew up over in Beverly Hills like Carlton, Will. Yeah, no, they can't say that about me because I grew up in the hood. Now, I understand some realities, all right? We have to deal with reality, not fiction, not a utopian mentality of everybody's fuzzy and warm and we should all be. Let's deal with some realities. You look at the school system, all right? There are certain schools that get a large amount of students to come from stable homes, two-family homes, economically strong homes, where they're giving them the resources, the tools to survive and also be more productive in education. And usually a lot of the same type of students go to that particular school because the funding works in a way of, at least it did work back in the day when I was in education, but it worked based off of your zip code. It was like, okay, the property value. If the houses in this area is 300,000 and above, then these schools in this area get more money for that particular school. So most likely what that means is most of the families there are very well off, which translates into being able to provide resources for their kids educationally. Where I grew up, the houses was like 5,000. Some of them might have been free. Who knows? If nobody was living there, brother might just walk in and say, now I live here. You know? So my point is, the schools in my neighborhood didn't get a lot of resources. And guess what? If you go into most of the homes in my neighborhood when I was growing up, they were not two-family homes. Parents weren't sitting around the dinner table like, so son, what did you do at school today? Really? You know what? My stock rose by 3%. And you know what, son, you need to really look at a long-term, nothing. We weren't talking about that stuff. You know, my family was talking about stuff like, look, if they come to cut the water off, hide, okay? Y'all better not make no noise. Don't let them come in here. Don't open the door for the gas man to check the meter, okay? See, so when you look at an area that consists of a lot of the people that think the same, subjected to the same stuff, deal with the same struggles, obstacles, situations like that, you run the risk of more of them having a negative mentality or being negatively impacted by that environment versus another environment. So therefore, it's not saying that you can't have some people who can't overcome their environment. Thank God I was one of them. And I know plenty of other people in my neighborhood that also did. But I know a whole heap of people in my neighborhood growing up that didn't. So if you were to say, you know what, let's take 5,000 people out of the inner city of where I grew up at and bring them out to, say, Beverly Hills, and you run a risk of, say, 4,500 of those 5,000 bringing the same mentality that they had when they was in the hood over to Beverly Hills. Now, you think the people in Beverly Hills would have been like, absolutely, we welcome them. We don't care if they throw parties late into the night. We don't care. Let them enjoy themselves. We want to be inclusive. No, they would be like, who let the riffraffs come up in here? So what I'm saying is, when you look at certain countries, it's no different than that. If, you know, there's 1 million people in the country and it is just riddled by crime, it's riddled by poverty, corruption, or whatever, and most of the people there are saying, I want to get out of there, it's a reason why they do. But by growing up in that environment, you develop certain survival tactics, mentalities, cultural acceptances, all of those things. Now, yeah, you bring 5,000 of them over, you may get 200-300 of them that come over here and say, man, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to be the best American I can be, and I'm going to assimilate. But you're more likely to get a lot of them to say, I'm glad to escape that environment, but I'm going to bring a little bit of that environment over here. All right. So that is all we're saying. It's not like that's based off of racism. It's based off of some practical realities. And so for the media to act like they are so high and mighty and to try to slide in that the statement was motivated by race is what they do. And for those that aren't smart enough to see that, I really hope that people do not allow the media, who is just completely intent on destroying the president, and the left. And that really makes me mad, because whoever was in that meeting, I'm sure to come out in context of what President Trump said and didn't say. But nonetheless, they went in there under the false pretense of trying to get something done concerning the whole immigration thing. And to go in there and sit back and listen in a private conversation and then take that and feed it to the media, even under the false pretense of trying to make progress, you're still trying to start controversy. You still are trying to find some fault to badmouth the president and throw him out there under the bus. And you know what? When stuff like that happens, I don't know about you, but if I'm hanging around somebody and something I say comes back to me, whether it be in the correct context or incorrect context, that person is done. I don't want to see them coming. When they come, I'm not the fake kind of guy that's going to be in their face like, hey, you know, yeah, I'm going to be like, so I heard you got a leaky faucet. Can't keep your lips shut. Snitches get stitches. Anyway, point I'm trying to make is they absolutely need to be more careful of who they let into the hen house. Thus, the guy that wrote the fake book, and also whoever this person or persons are that said the president said what he said. But my biggest problem with it all is the context that they're trying to put this in, as if that comment was the most racist statement ever. And it had nothing to do with race. I'm sure that we could go to some of these places and find some people that will come over here and do a great job in America and be the best Americans that you will ever find. And I'm sure we can go to Norway and find somebody that will come over here and they will wreak havoc in our environment. But there's a higher probability that you will find a larger amount of people that come from certain countries that aren't in good shape that will bring more problems than solutions, and vice versa. Some of the more stable, functioning countries, you'll get more people that probably will bring more solutions versus problems. All right. That's just a real statement. That's all it is, man. And I will break that down into small areas, even in America. We got some crap holes that's ran by Democrats. Okay. I don't know of too many crap hole cities in the United States that's ran by Republicans. I'm just saying. So maybe the Democrats are offended because it hits home. maybe all of these moral conscious Democrats. I can't believe he said this about my city. I mean, about Africa and them. Yeah. So instead of worrying about all these other countries, I think the Democratic Party and the liberal media needs to focus at home. And that's the biggest problem I got with this whole thing, is because even with the immigration thing, everybody's so focused on everybody else coming here and the people who are here illegally and accommodating them, you know, that they have forgotten about the people who actually live here. And they're going, dude, in my own city, I feel like I'm living in one of the worst areas in Mexico. And it ain't based off of the Mexicans around me. It's based off of the violence y'all let just run rampant in the city, the poverty, you know, the broken school system. I could take some of these small cities in America, ran by Democrats, pick them up and take them to some of these crap hole countries that they were talking about, and you wouldn't know the difference. They would think, hey, I'm right at home. So instead of pointing a finger, they need to point the thumb. That's what I'm saying. So worry about your own cities, Democrats, or rats, should I say. I'm sorry, I'm using incorrect terms. I shouldn't be saying Democrats. It's always Demorats or Dirty Dems. One of those two, okay? Right, Demorats rather, or Dirty Dems. Or Dirty Demorats. Either way you want to put it, they still got to be dirty and they got to be rats. That's it's written in the bylaws or something. I think the Geneva Convention states we have to make that statement every time we refer to the Democrats. So anyway, you've been listening to Kevin at Kevin's Corner, just ranting as I deal with all of the snow that's falling around. By the way, snowflakes. We got snowflakes everywhere right now. And I'm talking literally in both contexts. Snowflakes around the ground, but snowflakes around the United States. But anyway, you've been listening to Kevin at Kevin's Corner. If you are in Kevin's Corner, please hit like, also subscribe, share the video. And if you, I want to thank the people that have been donating to Kevin's Corner. You know, I appreciate it. I'm not a sentimental guy, but I'm just letting you know. This is a lot for me when I say things like, I appreciate it. So I really do. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kindness. I appreciate the wonderful remarks. A lot of people in the comments are saying things like, man, Kev, you should run for office. And I'm going, whew, I don't know about that. I enjoy commentating on what's going on because I just see so many problems and so many people that are just totally deceived and blinded. And if they don't wake up and see it, they're going to wake up too late, and it's going to be a country that they don't recognize. And you're talking about complaining. They think Trump is bad. If they mess around and let the dirty Dems get on the wheels of steel, where they like, if they get on the wheels of steel, it's going to be a complete mess for a long time, if not forever. All right. So God bless you. Find me on Facebook, on Twitter. I got a link to on Facebook called Minorities for Trump. And so check it out. And like I said, all the links to donate are in the bottom. See you next time at Kevin's Corner, where we'll be discussing the next hot topic. I'm sure by tomorrow morning, Donald Trump will be something else. I tell you what, though, he keeps things exciting, doesn't he? We need a translator box for Donald Trump's language when he says stuff. Okay, when he says things, he needs to have a translator on the side of him at all times to say, okay, before y'all lose your crap, let me transpose this statement into the right context that y'all could break it. We're going to break it down for dummies. See, so with the Demorats, it got to be broken down like that. You can't use high falutin terms. You can't say vehicle. You have to say car. You can't say canine. You have to say dog. Yeah, see, they understand when you break it down, you know, so you have to break it down so they can understand the context in which Donald Trump is talking about. All right, God bless you. Talk to you soon.